Hello and welcome to the starting lineup. I am your host, Austin Last. We have an action-packed episode for you this week as we get you prepared for the final week of the regular season. So let's get right into it and take a look at those Week 7 and Week 8 highlights for your Eisenhower Eagles and Utica Chieftains.
Homecoming as the Utica Chieftains take on the L'Anse Creuse North Crusaders. The Crusaders come in at 5-1, one win away from a playoff berth. Blake Daniels to a slanting Ben Bolts down to the Utica 37-yard line. TJ Malovic carrying Utica defenders. Screen pass, Blake Daniels and Jalen Allen get knocked out at the 12-yard line of the Utica Chieftains. Utica's defense would toughen up, and L'Anse Creuse North would go for it on 4th down, but knocked away by Slater Lutz. Turnover on downs. Nathan Ayers dragging a couple of Crusader defenders with him. Then Utica strikes first. Patrick O'Connor back to pass to Kevon Higdon. And he makes everyone miss. Dancing down the sidelines, tiptoeing into the end zone. Things weren't going right for the Crusaders, as Blake Daniel can't get a hold of this snap, which goes through his legs. And the Chieftains take advantage. Nathan Ayers into the L'Anse Creuse North Crusader red zone. And Ayers would end this drive and put the Utica Chieftains up 14-0 from 19 yards out. But L'Anse Creuse North wasn't just gonna lay down for the Utica Chieftains. Blake Daniels getting pressured, but ends up in the hands of Joey Schulwitz, finally getting brought down at the 15-yard line of the Chieftains. While culminating in this touchdown pass, Blake Daniels avoids the pressure, steps up, and hits Jalen Allen in the corner of the end zone. Cuts the lead to 14-7. And L'Anse Creuse North doesn't take long to tie up the game. Blake Daniels with a bomb to Ryan Haichu. Nathan Ayers for the Utica Chieftains, picking up some good yards in the passing game. Daniels from the gun, high snap, but he's gonna come down with it. And a nice hit here by Kevon Higdon. Mike Brisky comes down with the ball, acrobatic catch, and the Crusaders take the lead on another bomb. Daniels down the field, this time to Anthony Simmons. Nobody there, 21-14. Utica trying to get back into it, Nathan Ayers. And he's off to the races, 65 yards down the field, down at the 9-yard line of the L'Anse Creuse North Crusaders. The Chieftains scrimmaging from the L'Anse Creuse North 7-yard line. O'Connor back to pass. Hits Dylan Scott in the end zone. 6 points. But they would miss the extra point and still be down 21-20. A bit of a stalemate in the second half. But here, Zach Stefanko picks off the ball for the Utica Chieftains. Brendan Jackson steps in front of this one. The L'Anse Creuse North Crusaders would tack on another 6 points on the very last play of the game. Ben Bolts catches this pass, and that would cement their victory. Final score, L'Anse Creuse North Crusaders 27, Utica Chieftains 20.
Week 7 action in the MAC Red as your undefeated 6-0 Eisenhower Eagles travel on the road to Sterling Heights to take on the 1-5 Stevenson Titans. Stevenson would get the ball to start the game, but the game would get off to a disastrous start for the Titans as Ryan Chargo intercepts quarterback Isaac Reyes over the middle. Quarterback Max Whitwer gets the drive going for the Eagles with a short pass near the sideline to Jack Morris. Morris then breaks a few tackles, and it takes a host of Titans to force him out of bounds. Whitwer continues to go to the air as he connects with Ryan Chargo on a short pass to move the sticks. Whitwer goes right back to Chargo to move the sticks off yet another short pass. Max Whitwer caps off his aerial assault on the drive with yet another short pass to Ryan Chargo. Chargo reaches out and breaks the plane of the end zone for an Eagles touchdown. The extra point is good, and Eisenhower takes a 7-0 lead. With the ball back, working on their second drive, things go from bad to worse for the Titans as Isaac Hayes has trouble with the snap. The Eagles would recover the fumble, notching their second takeaway of the game. Jack Preventure gets the running game going for the Eagles on this drive as he takes the pitch, shows off some fancy footwork, and gets upfield for a nice gain into Stevenson territory. The Eagles would cap off the drive with a little trickeration as Max Whitwer fakes the handoff to Preventure and instead hands it off to Jacob Albright on an end around, and Albright gets outside, gets upfield, and dives in the end zone for a touchdown. The extra point is good, and the Eagles take a 14-0 lead. With the ball back following a punt from the Titans, Max Whitwer goes back to the air as he throws a beautiful pass to Benjamin Metz, and Metz takes it down near the red zone. Max Whitwer caps off yet another drive as he rolls out to his left, throws a bomb off his back foot, and connects with Jack Morris in the back of the end zone for another Eagles touchdown. The extra point is good, and the Eagles take a 21-0 lead. The Eagles would get the ball back off yet another Titans punt, but they would give the ball right back as Max Whitwer steps back to pass, collides with a teammate, and puts the ball on the ground. The Titans would recover the fumble, but it wouldn't hurt the Eagles, as Stevenson would turn the ball over on downs on their next drive. With the ball back again towards the end of the second quarter, Max Whitwer pitches it to Jack Preventure, and Preventure gets over midfield and is eventually taken down near the 30-yard line. The Eagles would cap off the drive with a little more trickeration as Max Whitwer fakes a few handoffs and Hassad Bajar ends up with the ball on an end around. Assad gets upfield, picks up a nice block, and goes virtually untouched on his way to a fourth Eagles touchdown in the first half. The extra point is good, and Eisenhower would take a 28-0 lead into halftime. Eisenhower would get the ball first out of the half, but they would commit their second turnover of the game as Max Whitwer and Jack Preventure have a miscommunication on the handoff, and Savion Lee scoops it up and takes it all the way in for the Titans' first touchdown of the game. But Stevenson would miss the extra point to make it a 6-28 deficit. Preventure and Whitwer would make up for their mistake on their next drive as Preventure takes the handoff, gets outside, turns on the afterburners, and leaves the Stevenson defenders in the dust as he takes it all the way in for another Eagles touchdown. The extra point is good, and the Eagles would take a 35-6 lead. With the ball back yet again, Max Whitwer pitches it to Jack Preventure, who gets outside, gets upfield, and isn't even touched until he is pushed out of bounds inside the 10-yard line. Whitwer would then cap off the drive with a beautiful pass to Kevin Wright in the back of the end zone for an Eagles touchdown. The extra point is good, putting the Eagles up 42-6. The Titans would go on to score the game's final points off this beautiful bomb from Isaac Hayes to Jai Hinson. The extra point is good, and the Eagles would go on to win by a score of 42-13.
Yeah, no, offensively, I knew we could move the football. I mean, we've been moving it all year. And once again, we did a great job moving the football. I thought we missed a couple passes that, were right in our hands, and we dropped some balls. But other than that, again, we had a great game plan, and the kids really executed, running the ball and throwing those short passes and everything.
Speaking of playing football next week, you have Warren Mott coming in, and they beat some pretty impressive wins. How are you going to prepare for these guys? Those guys this year?
I think they're a little bit different than this team right here, but they can run the ball and they can throw the ball. Their quarterback is a good scrambler, so we got to prepare for a lot of things that they do offensively, defensively. They're a physical football team, just like Stevenson was. So, I think this game may have helped us as far as preparing for the physical type of play that we're going to see against them, and once we get into the playoffs. So we're going to prepare the same way, though. We're not going to change anything that we do in practice. We're just going to try to get better every day.
Fraser High School is the site for Week 8 action in the MAC White as your Utica Chieftains take on the Fraser Ramblers. Nathan Ayers gets things going for the Chieftains on the ground as he takes the handoff up the middle and gets all the way into the red zone. Then Patrick O'Connor gets things going through the air for the Chieftains as he connects with Slater Lutz over the middle. Nathan Ayers then caps off the drive as he takes the handoff, breaks a tackle, runs over a defender, and breaks the plane of the end zone for a Chieftains touchdown. The extra point is wide right, and the Chieftains take a 6-0 lead. Kenneth Red gets the ground game going for the Ramblers as he takes this handoff into Chieftains territory. Now on 4th down, Ian Casey shows off his wheels and dives out of bounds for the first down marker, but he would come up inches short and the Ramblers would turn it over on downs. Nathan Ayers continues to power the offense as he takes the handoff up the middle, breaks some tackles, and gets deep into Ramblers territory. Ayers then takes another handoff, gets outside, stiffs arms a few defenders, and gets down inside the 5-yard line, but he would be shaken up on the play. On the next play, Leonard Kasem takes the handoff, runs into a wall of defenders, and somehow forces his way in for a Chieftains touchdown. Utica then goes for 2 and converts off a pass from Patrick O'Connor to a wide open Nathan Ayers in the end zone. The Ramblers now with the ball. Ian Casey throws a short pass to Galeos Wright, who breaks 2 tackles, turns on the Jets, and gets all the way down into the red zone. The drive would stall out on 3rd down after quarterback Ian Casey gets sacked by 2 Chieftain defenders. The Ramblers would attempt a 42-yard field goal, but kicker Brendan Gordley would come up well short, and the kick is no good. But the Ramblers' special teams would redeem themselves as they block this Chieftains punt, and Julian Boyer scoops and scores. The extra point is good, and the Chieftains would take a 14-7 lead to the locker room at halftime. Now in the second half, the Ramblers would punt after going 3 and out, but it is muffed by Cam Mitchell, and the Ramblers recover deep in Chieftains territory. Ian Casey would capitalize on the turnover as he takes the QB sneak and gets into the end zone for a Ramblers touchdown. The extra point is good, and the game is now tied at 14. The turnovers would begin to mount as Patrick O'Connor is picked off by Joshua Brady. But it wouldn't hurt the Chieftains as Fraser would end up punting. Nathan Ayers continues his tremendous game as he goes virtually untouched on this long touchdown run. The extra point is good, and the Chieftains take a 21-14 lead. But the Ramblers would answer as Dominic Malecki somehow finds his way through a wall of defenders and takes it all the way in for a Ramblers touchdown.
but the Chieftains special team unit would get the last laugh as they blocked the point after attempt and preserved a 21-20 lead. After a few kneel downs, the Chieftains would go on to win by the score of 21-20, earning their 3rd win of the season.
All right, Coach, you've had some tough losses, close losses last 3 games. How nice is it to be on the other side this time?
I mean, it's great. The kids deserve it, and I'm happy for them. I'm happy that they were able to battle through some tough stuff in the second and third quarters, and we were able to finish it off in the end. Well, I mean, we always talk about getting better each week, so we want to have a great week next week. We're going into Stevenson, and we know that's going to be a tough game. So, we want to get that momentum for the offseason and for next season. We want to finish it off with the seniors and have a great week.
We are the Chieftains! We are the Chieftains! The mighty, mighty Chieftains! The mighty, mighty Chieftains! You wish you were a Chieftain! You wish you were a Chieftain! You wish you were a Chieftain! You wish you were a Chieftain!
A battle for the MAC Red title. Eisenhower taking on Warren Mott. Pitch out right to Jack Preventure. And all he sees is green grass in front of him. Second quarter, Eisenhower's Jacob Albright. Option left. And he's off to the races. And it's 14-0. Eisenhower gets their 3rd touchdown on a trick play. End around to Jacob Albright. But no, he's throwing to Jack Morris. Eisenhower would tack on another field goal by Anthony Toko, and they would go into the half, leading 24-0. Jack Preventure running it in for his 2nd touchdown of the night. The Marauders finally getting on the board. Javon Wilson from 1 yard out. Their extra point is blocked. Preventure completing his hat trick of touchdowns to bring us to our final score. Eisenhower Eagles 38, Warren Mott Marauders 6.
We have to take a quick commercial break, but when we come back, we will take a look at the Week 7 and Week 8 scores in the MAC Red and MAC White. We will also take a look at the current standings, so stay with us.
All high school sports, but especially contact sports like football, produce their share of injuries. But never have its players been better equipped, better coached, and better protected by rules which have lowered, that's right, lowered catastrophic injuries. Football is a special sport doing great things for kids, schools, and communities. It's safer than ever, and we're working to keep it that way.
A high school football game night is a unique experience, uniting a community in so many ways and showcasing other school activities. This grand setting helps kids learn life skills and build lifetime relationships in the safest environment ever, where teacher coaches, equipment, rules, and safety protocols minimize risks. It's a true celebration of participation. Support your local school and its young people who enjoy this privilege.
Welcome back to the starting lineup. As always, I am your host, Austin Lass. Let's get right back into it and look at those Week 7 and Week 8 scores in the MAC Red and MAC White. Starting off with the MAC Red Week 7 scores, the Chippewa Valley Big Reds got a huge 40-38 home victory against the Dakota Cougars. It was the first time all season that the Big Reds scored over 27 points. For Dakota, it was the first time all season they had given up more than 28 points. The Romeo Bulldogs went on the road and crushed the Warren Mott Marauders 31-8. It was the 3rd time this season that the Bulldogs scored more than 30 points in a game. For Mott, it was just their first loss on the season, and it was also the first time they scored less than 27 points all season. As we saw earlier, the Eisenhower Eagles demolished Stevenson on the road 42-13. It was the 4th time this season that the Eagles scored more than 40 points in a game. For Stevenson, it was their 4th straight loss. It was also just the 2nd time they scored more than 7 points in a loss. Now we jump to the MAC Red scores in Week 8. Dakota mollywopped Romeo at home 45-7. It was the 4th time this season that the Cougars scored more than 40 points. For Romeo, it was just the 2nd time they scored less than 14 points in a game all season. Chippewa Valley got a home win against Stevenson 38-25. The Big Reds have scored at least 38 points in back-to-back games. It was the Titans' 2nd highest point total all season, but it was also their 5th straight loss. As we saw earlier, Eisenhower defeated Warren Mott at home 38-6. Eisenhower has now scored at least 38 points 4 times on the season, and the win clinched the MAC Red title for the Eagles. For Mott, it was their second straight loss after starting the season 6-0. It was also the second straight week of scoring 8 points or less. Now let's take a look at the Week 7 scores in the MAC White. Grosse Pointe South shut out Anchor Bay at home 24-0. It was the Blue Devils' first shutout since Week 1 of last season when they defeated Detroit Mumford 7-0. For Anchor Bay, it was the first time they had been shut out since losing to Romeo in Week 8 of last season 54-0. Ford went on the road and defeated Fraser 21-20. It was just the second win on the season for Ford and their first on the road. Fraser, it was their 6th straight loss since beating Port Huron Northern in Week 1. As we saw earlier, L'Anse Creuse North went on the road and defeated Utica 27-20. For L'Anse Creuse North, it was a nice bounce-back victory after getting steamrolled by Eisenhower 70-6. For Utica, it was the 4th time this season they had lost by 7 points or less. Now here are the scores for the MAC White in Week 8. Grosse Pointe South got a huge road shutout at L'Anse Creuse North 21-0. For Grosse Pointe South, this was their second straight shutout this season. The win also clinched the MAC White title and a playoff berth. For L'Anse Creuse North, it was the first time they had been shut out since Week 5 of the 2014 season when they lost 42-0 to Stevenson. Anchor Bay went on the road and defeated Ford 42-25. For Anchor Bay, it matched a season high for points in a game. It was also the 4th time this season that Ford lost by double digits. And finally, as we saw earlier, Utica went on the road and defeated Fraser 21-20. For Utica, the win snapped a 3-game losing streak in which they lost by 7 points or less in each game. For Fraser, it was their 7th straight loss on the season and also the 2nd straight loss of losing by 1 point. Now let's go ahead and look at the updated standings in the MAC. Starting off in the red, Eisenhower has officially clinched the MAC Red title with an 8-0 overall record and a 5-0 record in the conference. Romeo is in second with a 5-3 overall record and a 3-2 record in the conference. Right behind them is the Warren Mott Marauders with a 6-2 overall record and a 3-2 conference record. Romeo's head-to-head win against Mott is the tiebreaker. Chippewa Valley is in fourth with a 5-3 overall record and a 2-3 record in the conference. Dakota is right behind Chippewa Valley with identical records overall and in the conference. Chippewa Valley's head-to-head win against Dakota is the tiebreaker. And Stevenson is still in last with a dreadful 1-7 overall record and a 0-5 record in the conference. Now looking at the white, Grosse Pointe South has officially clinched the MAC White with a 6-2 overall record and a 5-0 record in the conference. L'Anse Creuse North is in second after losing to the Blue Devils in a battle for the conference in Week 8. Utica is in third place despite a 3-5 overall record. They are 3-2 in the conference. Anchor Bay is in fourth despite a 5-3 overall record. They are just 2-3 in the conference. Ford is in fifth with a 2-6 overall record and a 1-4 record in the conference. And finally, Fraser is in last with a deplorable 1-7 record overall and a 0-5 record in the conference.
Well, we have to take a quick commercial break, but when we come back, we will take a look at the current playoff pictures in the Macomb Area Conference, and we will also take a look at the Week 9 schedules in the Macomb Area Conference. So stay with us.
You're up. There's an old saying, you can never have too many officials. The age of the average official is 52 and getting older all the time. We're constantly recruiting new people, younger people to join us. After you register with the MHSAA, look on the website to find an officials association near you. They'll put you in a position to succeed as an official. We all learned a lot from high school sports, and officiating is a great way to give back to the game. There's help wanted, just whistle.
Touchdown, Cutfield. So, I got my start in officiating when a friend told me I should try it. At first I just did basketball, and I got hooked. Before long, I added baseball, softball, football, and volleyball. I really enjoy giving back to the game, working with kids, and working with my local association to recruit and train new officials. I would like to say to anybody that officiating is a great way to help kids and stay connected to the game. We always need new officials. There's help wanted, just listen.
Welcome back to the starting lineup. As always, I am your host, Austin Lass. Let's now take a look at the current playoff pictures in the Macomb Area Conference.
In the red, Eisenhower and Warren Mott have clinched playoff berths. Romeo, Dakota, and Chippewa Valley will need to win in Week 9 to get an automatic playoff berth or sweat it out on Sunday as the playoff matchups are released. Stevenson is the only team in the red who has been eliminated from playoff contention. Now in the white, Grosse Pointe South and L'Anse Creuse North have both clinched playoff berths. Anchor Bay will need to win in Week 9 to clinch an automatic berth to the playoffs, or they will also have to sweat it out as the playoff matchups are released on Sunday. Utica, Ford, and Fraser have all been eliminated from playoff contention. Now let's take a look at the Week 9 schedules in the MAC. Dakota will take on L'Anse Creuse North at home with an automatic berth to the playoffs on the line for the Cougars. Eisenhower will take on Ford at home. The Eagles can earn their 8th undefeated season in program history and their first since 2004. Utica will travel to Stevenson to take on the Titans. Chippewa Valley will travel to Anchor Bay to take on the Tars. Both teams need a win to clinch an automatic berth to the playoffs. Grosse Pointe South will take on Warren Mott at home. And Romeo will take on Fraser at home with an automatic berth to the playoffs on the line for the Bulldogs.
Well, that is all the time that we have for this week's episode. Make sure you tune in next week as we break down those Week 9 highlights and scores. We will preview the playoff matchups, and we will also get you caught up with the soccer and volleyball playoffs in the Macomb Area Conference. This is Austin Last saying so long for everyone at Shelby TV. See you next time.